They return to your story like travelers to a familiar sanctuary, seeking comfort in the echoes of your words. Your story is the quiet companion that walks beside them when the world feels too heavy to bear. They revisit your story because it holds pieces of their own heart they thought lost forever. Your story is the breath they take in moments of silence, filling the emptiness with meaning. They come back to your story as if it's a lighthouse guiding them through the darkest nights of their soul. Your story is the diary they never wrote, but always needed to read. They revisit your story to relive the emotions they can no longer voice aloud. Your story is the gentle wind stirring the still waters of their memories. They come back because your story is a mirror reflecting their hidden dreams and fears. Your story stays alive in their mind, a flame that refuses to be snuffed out by time. They revisit your story as a way to find themselves in the chaos of life. Your story is a bridge connecting yesterday's heartbreak to tomorrow's hope. They come back because your story is the unspoken truth they dare not share. Your story is the silent song echoing in their heart, playing long after the words are gone. They revisit your story to find the courage to face their own reflections. Your story lingers in the quiet corners of their mind, a comforting shadow in lonely hours. They come back to your story to remind themselves that pain and beauty often walk hand in hand. Your story is a secret garden where they retreat when the world becomes too loud. They revisit your story to find healing in the cracks left by time and distance. Your story is the flame that keeps their hope alive when everything else feels lost. They come back because your story speaks the language of their soul. Your story is the melody that plays softly beneath the noise of their daily life. They revisit your story to find peace in the unresolved, beauty in the broken. Your story is the silent strength they draw upon when their own falters. They revisit your story to hold on to moments that time cannot erase. Your story is the quiet anchor keeping their soul steady in turbulent waters. They come back because your story holds the answers to questions they've yet to ask. Your story is the light that shines through their darkest memories, illuminating hope. They revisit your story to relive the lessons hidden between the lines. Your story is a warm breeze on a cold night, a whisper of comfort in the silence. They come back to your story to find a safe place where vulnerability is embraced. Your story is the thread weaving their scattered pieces in their whole. They revisit your story because it holds the reflection of a love that changed them forever. Your story is in their breath, in the pauses between words they never spoke. They come back because your story is the bridge between what was and what could be. Your story is the quiet song that reminds them they are never truly alone. They revisit your story to find strength in the memories that once broke them. Your story is the gentle rain nourishing the seeds of their own healing. They come back because your story is a sacred space where their heart finds solace. Your story is the candle flickering softly in the darkness of their thoughts. They revisit your story to embrace the beauty in imperfection and pain. Your story is the silent promise of hope that whispers through the storms. They come back because your story holds the fragments of their own untold tale. Your story is the warmth in the cold, the light in the shadow. They revisit your story to reconnect with the rawness of emotions they long to feel again. Your story is the gentle echo of a time when love was simple and true. They come back because your story gives voice to the silence in their soul. Your story is the quiet heartbeat that pulses beneath their everyday life. They revisit your story to remember the strength they found in their own vulnerability. Your story is the soft glow of dawn after a night of restless dreams. They come back because your story is the key to unlocking their own hidden truths. Your story is the unspoken language their heart has always understood. They revisit your story to find the courage to face their own shadows. Your story lingers like a gentle sound that plays long after the music stops. They come back because your story reminds them that healing is a journey, not a destination. Your story is the quiet light guiding them through their darkest nights. Revisit your story to find peace in the chaos of their own emotions. They revisit your story because it's the only place where their heart finds both the questions and the quiet it needs. Your story lingers in their dreams like a song that won't let them rest until they understand its meaning. They revisit your story, hoping to find closure in the spaces you left open. Your story is a flicker of light in their darkest moments, a reminder they are not alone. They come back because your story taught them how to feel, even when it hurt. Your story is the quiet whisper between the chaos, the breath they take before moving on. They revisit your story as a way to heal wounds no one else can see. Your story stays with them like a tattoo inked in invisible ink, felt but unseen. They come back to your story because it's the map to their own lost emotions. Your story is the anchor in the stormy sea of their memories. They revisit your story to find the courage to face their own reflection. Your story is the spark that ignites hope when everything else feels hopeless. They come back because your story reminds them that pain can also be beautiful. Your story is a puzzle with missing pieces. They keep searching, hoping to complete it. They revisit your story like a letter never sent, holding on to words left unsaid. Your story lives in the silence between their thoughts, a constant hum beneath the noise. They come back to your story because it's the closest they come to understanding love. Your story is a lighthouse guiding them through the fog of confusion and doubt. They revisit your story to relive the moments that shaped who they are today. Your story is a sea garden they visit when they need peace and solitude. They come back because your story speaks the truth they can't find elsewhere. Your story is the thread weaving through the tapestry of their own experiences. They revisit your story to find meaning in the chaos of their emotions. Your story is the quiet companion that walks with them through loneliness. Your story is a flame that refuses to be extinguished no matter how dark the night. They revisit your story to find comfort in knowing they're not the only ones broken. Your story is the song they hum when words fail. They come back because your story holds the answers they're too afraid to ask. Your story is a bridge between past regrets and future dreams. They revisit your story to feel something real in a world full of masks. Your story is a tattoo etched on their heart, permanent and undeniable, cracks of their smile and the tears they hide. They revisit your story like a prayer whispered in the silence. Your story is the echo in their heart that never fades. They revisit your story to find peace in the chaos of their thoughts. Your story is the light shining through the cracks of their brokenness. They come back because your story is a reminder that love is worth fighting for. Your story is the anchor holding them steady when the waves threaten to pull them under. They revisit your story as a way to understand the depths of their own soul. Your story is the silent song that plays softly in their memories. They come back because your story is the proof that vulnerability is strength. Your story is the warmth they seek on the coldest nights. They can revisit your story to find courage in the face of uncertainty. Your story is the whisper of hope in their darkest hour. They come back because your story reminds them they are not alone in their pain. Your story is the steady heartbeat in the silence of their loneliness. They visit your story to find the strength to let go and move forward. Your story is the beautiful scar that tells a tale of survival and growth. They come back because your story is the mirror reflecting their own journey. Your story lives in the spaces where words fail and feelings take over. They revisit your story to find a home for their restless heart. Your story is the spark that ignites their own desire to heal. They come back because your story is a testament to resilience and hope. Your story is the timeless melody that plays on repeat in their soul. There's something magnetic about your story. They come back to it like it's their favorite chapter in a never-ending book, unable to turn away. Every time they revisit your story, it's like they're searching for a piece of themselves they lost, hoping your words will heal what's broken. Your story echoes in their mind long after you're gone, haunting the spaces between their thoughts like a beautiful, unshakable melody. They come back again and again to the moments you thought were forgotten because your story has carved its place deep inside their soul. Sometimes people don't just read your story. They live it over in their minds, rewriting the endings they wish they had the courage to change. Your story is the secret thread weaving through their memories, a constant reminder of what was, what could have been, and what still might be. They revisit your story not out of nostalgia alone, but because somewhere in it, they found a reflection of their own silent battles. Your story lingers in their heart, like a scent that brings back both the warmth of summer and the chill of a long-lost winter night. They read your story like a sacred letter, never sent, returning to the pages, hoping for a sign, a revelation, a closure they never received. Even after time has passed, your story refuses to fade. It becomes a quiet companion in the loneliness of their nights. The more they revisit your story, the more we understand that it wasn't just about you. It was about their own unspoken truths. Your story is a mirror shattered in their hands. Each visit is an attempt to piece it back together. Imperfect but whole. There's a magic in your story's return, because every time they revisit it, they discover something new hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes your story is the only thing holding them together when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Their return to your story is a silent confession, a way of saying they haven't let go and maybe they never will. Your story is a puzzle they keep trying to solve, hoping the pieces will finally fit and bring them peace. The moments you thought forgotten are alive and thriving in their minds, waiting to be understood anew each time. They revisit your story like a familiar song, sometimes painful, sometimes comforting, but always unforgettable. Your story lives in the spaces between their breaths, a quiet presence they can't help but return to. Your story is a flame in the dark corners of their memory, sometimes flickering, sometimes roaring, but never extinguished. Every visit to your story is a journey inward, a search for meaning in the chaos of their own heart. Your story is a ghost that haunts their happiest moments, reminding them of what once was and what can never be. They hold your story like a fragile glass, afraid to break it but unable to let it go. Your story isn't just theirs to revisit. It belongs to everyone who's ever loved and lost. The more they read your story, the more they find their own words waiting between the lines. Your story is a tide, pulling them back when they thought they were finally free to move forward. They revisit your story like a diary kept secret. Each return is a risk, hoping for forgiveness and understanding. Your story is etched in the fabric of their being, woven into the very essence of who they are. They visit your story in the quiet moments, when the world is still and their heart aches loudest. Your story is a lighthouse in their storm, guiding them back to the shore when they lose their way. They come back to your story, not to judge, but to find the truth they've been searching for all along. Your story is the unfinished song they keep humming, hoping the melody will bring clarity. They revisit your story because it's the only place where their own feelings make sense. Your story is a tattoo on their soul, permanent, painful, and beautifully raw. They read your story in the silence between words, finding meaning where none was meant to be. Your story stays with them like an old photograph, faded, but full of memories too precious to discard. They revisit your story to understand why that never had an answer. Your story is a candle flickering in their memory, casting shadows that dance with the light of hope and regret. They come back to your story because in it, they find the courage to face their own truths. Your story is a bridge they cross again and again, trying to connect the past with the future they can't yet see. They revisit your story as a way to say goodbye, even if the goodbye never feels complete.